So you look at me wrong, you're done.
So Jaime making chess moves behind Dushane's back was a common theme that we saw across Top Boy in Season 3 and 4, and he was someone who always had ambitions of one day becoming Top Boy himself, but he forgot one of the most vital principles from the 48 Laws of Power, and that is to never outshine the master. And in this case, where Dushane was blinded by his vision of leaving the game and using Jaime as his retirement plan, Sully was never fooled by Jaime, and he even warned him, if you look at me wrong, you are done, and he definitely lived up to his promise. So we're gonna run through 3 key stages from Season 4 that had a huge impact in Sully deciding to bury Jaime, starting with Jaime Killing Kid. Now, as we moved into Season 4, the only way out for Jaime was to work for Dushane, which he accepted, but it was never accepted by the rest of the ZTs and Kid. And you could sense there was always this animosity between the two crews, and that's because the ZTs were loyal to Jaime and not Dushane or Sully, and Kit was someone who even held it down for Jaime's brothers while he was inside, and although his intentions were to protect them and teach Ats a lesson for what he did to Jaime and his brothers, Dexter killed Ats, which was never Kit's intentions because he just wanted him to rough him up. So where Dushane was closing in on Dexter, Kit killed him before he could tell him that Kit was the one who sent him after Ats. And this raised questions with Dushane, which he forced Jaime to get, and with Dushane forcing him to kill Kid, Jaime had a choice to make. Does he stick by Kid, or does he follow on the orders of the current Top Boy, who told him he'll kill him instead if he doesn't kill Kid? Now, family is everything, but blood doesn't necessarily make you family, loyalty does, and Kit was loyal to Jaime, and vice versa, which is why they made the plan to go to Cardiff, up until the point Jaime realized he's losing his brothers. Stefan was someone who was out of control, and Aaron was no longer looking up to Jaime as his mother and father figure he once was, and it dawned on Jaime that his street life wasn't just impacting him, but it was having a huge negative impact on Aaron and definitely Stefan, who changed when Jaime went inside. And this played a huge part in Jaime turning and killing his boy Kid, which was cold, ruthless, and it was a stark reminder that this game is selfish, and Jaime's weak spot, which were his brothers, had a huge say in why he killed Kid, with his last words even being bro before Jaime pulled the trigger. But the main point coming away from Kid's death was if Jaime was capable of killing him, who was nothing but loyal to him and his family from day one, especially when he was inside, then who's to say he wouldn't turn on Dushane and Sully at some point in the future and try and take either one of them out. And this is something Sully couldn't risk, and why Jaime had to go in his eyes. Now, something changed in Sully's perception over the course of the season, because he started the season where he was moving a little reckless and out of guilt, where he didn't have much to live for at the beginning of Season 4. Now, he was someone who was completely withdrawn and isolated from the world and the streets where he was living on this boat, away from the streets and away from Dushane, and most importantly, away from his daughter. And we saw Sully trying to redeem himself because he was still hurting from not just losing his daughter, but because he was the one who killed Driss and sent Erin into social care, leaving her without a father and a mother who was in jail, until he found out Mandy was actually living in a hostel. And this is where we saw him throwing money out of guilt. Now, when Pebbles came to him for help, we saw him moving reckless with the boys from Peckham. And in Dushane's words, Sully is a psycho, but there's only so much one man can do when he's up against 5 or 6. But even though Pebbles put Sully through all of this, he looked past it and he recognized how she was the reason why Tasha was now back in his life. And this was a huge turning point in Sully's mindset, because he now had something which gave him purpose and something to live and fight for. And with him watching how Erin was taken into social care, leaving her without a father in Driss, he didn't want this for Tasha. So killing Jaime was also done out of selfishness to make sure he protects his daughter. So as we talk about Sully protecting Tasha, killing Jaime was also to protect Dushane, because we saw Dushane saving Sully in episode 5, because family is everything, and this pushed Sully to get shit sorted in Spain and Morocco. So killing Jaime was in essence a way of Sully now protecting his brother Dushane, because I'm sure we can all agree, Jaime was young, he was ambitious, and he was hungry to become Top Boy. But Dushane was blinded by his vision of having an exit plan from the game and using Jaime as his retirement plan, but he couldn't see that eventually Jaime was someone who would come after both of them. If it wasn't now, then it would definitely have been in the future. And it is fair to say Sully was someone who never liked Jaime and he never trusted him. So when Dushane saved Sully, this was his calling card to go to Spain, where Jaime was making moves to become Top Boy, and he was using principles of law from the 48 Laws of Power of mastering the art of timing, because this was the perfect time to strike a deal behind Dushane's back. But when Sully learned about these big plans that Jaime had, He knew that Jaime couldn't be trusted, and where Duchesne was too blind to see it because of his end goal of leaving the game, Sully wasn't, and this is why he put 2 bullets in Jaime, but looking into Stefan's eyes before he pulled the 3rd trigger.
Jamie! Jamie! Jamie!
Oh, please! Jamie! Look at me, please! Jamie, look at me!
Hello?
Wake up!